Hey everyone, welcome to a new training for Scentsy Success Academy. I almost did not make it over saying that. That was a little bit of a hump there. I hope you all had a great and safe and hopefully warm holiday. We are officially a couple of days, really even that, can I even say that? A couple of days from closing out the year. Hopefully you're closing out the year strong. If not, then maybe perhaps, I don't know, maybe perhaps this year was a little bit different for you. Maybe even this month looked a little bit different for you. I know for me personally, sales wise, I will say that this month has definitely looked a lot different as in comparison to the last 2 years. However, I will say to a certain extent, I purposely did not really push nor stay on top of my sales this month, full transparency, as much as I could have. However, I knew that in going into the beginning of at least like end of November, beginning of December, that I didn't necessarily want to push sales or stay on top of it as much as I did over the last couple of years, but more or less like stay the forefront of, my customers' minds, checking in with them. And I really truly want to close out this year, let alone this month, with this specific training and letting you in on a little bit, just so maybe a couple of ways to consider either things that you can do going into January, or if you want to work and continue work your business between now and the end of the month, these are some things that you can certainly start now and just hit the ground running. Or if you're leaning more into hitting the ground running come first week of January, that's perfectly fine. These things that we're going to talk about and I want to share with y'all can go either way, which is the beauty of it. Because really truly, whenever we come across, when we're going into a holiday season, when we have a specific collection that's set aside for the Christmas holiday season, normally kind of the mindset of a Scentsy consultant like that you want to have is to, okay, that the Christmas, the holiday collection will be available typically the first week of November. So then your mindset from, first of November, maybe even late October into the end of November is, obviously first and foremost focusing on our catalog. That's the core, but also just informing, making sure that you're letting your customers in and know, that the holiday collection, the harvest collection is available. Then from there, normally gearing, and flowing in more towards like December. That's normally when you still want to sprinkle in, talking about the holiday catalog at that point, focusing and talking about our gift guide, which also, by the way, is still on our website and available for the holiday season. Gift guide, what that basically is, and it is on your PWS, by the way, under the drop down menu. The gift guide is incredible because it's mostly for somebody that has a budget. They have a dollar amount in mind. They're maybe not sure of who they're shopping for, but they know how much they're needing to spend, whether it's like a white elephant, Christmas gift exchange, or maybe it's like a budget that the family has determined, whatever the case may be. The gift guide is great because it's set up in a way, there's usually like 3 tiers, and it's, from like a $10 and below standpoint to like then the second bracket's like $25 and below, and then the third one, of course, is like 25 and up. And what I love about that is the gift guide gives examples of what can be purchased for that X amount of dollars. And so I absolutely love that. And so that's something, a great tool to use, to keep in mind going into this next year around this time, where, utilizing the gift guide along with the holiday collection. But, then as we were approaching, I believe it was December 17th, that was Scentsy's official cutoff for the Christmas season, meaning that our customers or even ourselves could purchase said items from the Scentsy website, and that it was more than likely that if the orders were placed and put in by the 17th, that everything would arrive by Christmas. And it, obviously to a certain extent, that's not necessarily guaranteed, but the likelihood is more likely if the orders were put in by the 17th. So today, now that it's officially after the Christmas season, for now, no, for me personally, there was like a day or two right after Christmas Day that I did still touch base with some customers because, there are some individuals that they perhaps don't get paid in time to purchase or order or get the things, that they're necessarily like needing or wanting for the holiday season until after Christmas. Especially because if their paycheck is not, if the payroll is not put in prior, like the week of Christmas, then they have to wait and it doesn't hit until afterwards. So to be fair, there are some individuals who are still, that usually will shop a couple, like 2 to 3 days after the Christmas season, because that's when they get paid. So never, going into this next year, never just assume that because it's the week of Christmas or Christmas Eve that none of your customers are going to want to place orders. So then, let's think about and segue going into this next year, painting the picture for you guys that it's after the Christmas cutoff, right? So it's after the 17th or a little bit closer to like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. That is normally then where you want to switch gears, and not to say that you still don't want to focus on, you can't focus on the holiday collection, but for me, once the cutoff is in place, that's normally where my mindset at that point focuses more on the catalog. Reason being is that from normally like November to first week of December, you might have noticed, if you were looking on your website, you may have noticed that there were a lot of items that slowly but surely started to sell out. And then what's great is that once it's after the Christmas season and you're focusing more on what is in our core catalog, those items are absolutely guaranteed to not sell out. Why? Because they are part of our catalog, meaning Scentsy has a good amount of access to be able to ship that to your customer. So that's kind of where we're at right now. That's where this whole training is about, is, segueing into what do you do now? And again, this is whether you're choosing to pick up and work your business from now into the end of December, or if this is something that you're going to start up the first week or second week of January. Either way. All right. So first and foremost, let's talk Whiff Box. If you haven't already checked out the contents of the December Whiff Box, you are missing out. This Whiff Box, y'all, is so incredible for a number of reasons. One being that the products that are in this specific Whiff Box have never been seen before. There's an incredible air product that's in there. It comes with pods. The fragrance that's specifically in there, I think it's peach and amber, if I'm not mistaken. But that specific fragrance has never been smelled before, seen before. And I am so excited because not only is it releasing in, I believe, of course, in the Whiff Box, it's the pods. And I think there's a wax sample, if I'm not mistaken, and some other products. But all of that is actually then going to be released, I believe, the first week or 1st of January and available to the general public. But as of right now, that specific fragrance is exclusive to the Whiff Box only in December. The Whiff Box, the overall theme is perfect because it's not, a lot of the details in it are, they're like beige, neutral tones, hints of gold, flecks. What I love about not only the fragrance itself, but the products that are in the Whiff Box for December, this specific Whiff Box is a great segue into like the New Year's theme. So Whiff Box, let's think New Year's, you can come up with whatever you want to call it. If you're wanting to come up with like a fun name theme for the Whiff Box, I highly recommend going to ChatGPT, type it in, say you want, a fun New Year's theme named for your Whiff Box. People love themes. They love names. Instead of just calling it just solely the Whiff Box, that's not only going to help you stand apart from everybody else and all their consultants, but it's going to make it fun and interactive. There are photos on Facebook that you can easily search for. Of course, you can always go to your workstation. You can go to the marketing tab on your workstation. There's photos there of the Whiff Box. Otherwise, you can easily go to Facebook, go to the search engine at the top, type in December Whiff Box, bam. Guaranteed there is a ton of photos that have been shared out that you can save and use for yourself. Next thing to think about and consider, and this is only if you have inventory on hand, is consider doing mystery bags with what inventory you have left. And or if you don't have anything on hand, perfectly fine. Why? Because for one, it's not expected as a Scentsy consultant to have any kind of inventory or stock on hand. For two, we have an incredible clearance section that is always on our website, and then you can utilize that alone for your mystery bags. You can go to, let's just say you're going to go to clearance. Go to clearance, kind of gaze over everything that's there. Maybe look at like what your lowest cost items are, especially because I will say that there's a little bit of an interesting what do I want to say? Like there's a moment between like Christmas and then mid-January, because we are getting ready to segue into tax season. So not to say that that's the one thing to keep in mind, is that your customers are going, the ones that want to spend money, the ones that want to order are going to order. Don't automatically assume just because it's after the Christmas season that we're not quite in tax season yet that nobody's going to want to order from you. However, one thing that I can advise for you guys, and that so far worked for me, is think smaller. So what do I mean by that? If you're wanting to do a mystery bag or a mystery box of sorts and you're utilizing clearance, you don't want to overwhelm your customer. So first and foremost, the most important thing that you want to determine when it comes to a mystery bag or box is what's your price cap? Like how much are you going to tell your customer what the total is? So there's a couple things that of course you want to factor in. So take into consideration, let's just say for example, shipping. Okay. So shipping, typically if you're wanting to, let's just say you're going to do a local group order, meaning everything's going to come to you, you're going to assemble it and distribute it or have them pick it up from you, either or. Shipping can be split up. Shipping is a flat rate of $10 unless you happen to be putting in a group order of, what is it? I think 400, 350, 400. I believe it's $400. If you're putting in a group order of $400, that's when you get free shipping. Otherwise, shipping is going to be a flat rate of $10. So then you can goal yourself at saying, okay, I want to try to strive for selling at least, oh gosh, I'm like, go ahead, me doing the math. Let's see. Let me do this real quick because I don't have access to my calculator on my phone right now. So let's just figure out the math here. Okay, so normally I charge my customers, let's just say I'm doing a group order, right? So on average, I charge my customers, if I am doing a group order, I charge them $250 for shipping. So let's just say, what do I think that's going to be too many? Let's see. Sorry, y'all, bear with me. Like math, that's hard. 4, 8, yeah. So give or take, you probably need on average, about 4 people to, let's just say, focus on the Whiff Box for now. So Whiff Box, whether you're using the Whiff Box itself and or if you're putting something together as like a mystery bag from clearance, splitting shipping, get 4 people or more, 4 people on average. If it's 4 people to start with, $250. And that way you're actually splitting the cost of shipping. And this is something you're putting into your workstation. Okay. Now, one thing I would suggest when it comes to clearance is, again, focusing more on your low cost, low value items. The reason being is that your customer is going to get more bang for their buck. So you could I would say like maybe setting a mystery bag or mystery box at like, I would say no more than $25. $25, $20, $21. Your best bet is to pick about 2 to 3 items from clearance. Let's just say you're wanting to focus on clearance or sale. I forgot, we're not calling it clearance anymore. So if you're going on the sale tab, I would pick out 2 to 3 items that again are like under, $10 under. And then add it up to see what your total is. That would give you, give or take, a generalized idea of how much to charge your customers. I personally wouldn't focus on telling them necessarily what you're putting in the mystery bag. You can call it like your newer special, whatever you want to call it. Again, people really like themes, but more importantly, when you're talking to your customers or you're posting online, you want to make sure that it's clear and concise. So you want to make sure that you're, for one, determining how much the total is going to be. And make sure when you word it, it's to the point, not a lot of fluff. Also, you want to make sure, and I would suggest, like I said, a theme, coming up with a fun theme. I know for me, another thing that I've done in the past is, I'd say, I have 10 spots to fill, and then every spot, you again, ChatGPT for the win. You could go to an ask it and be like, I'm creating mystery bags or mystery boxes for my customers for Scentsy. I'm goaling myself at selling, and then whatever you want to say, I'm goaling myself at selling 4, I'm goaling myself at setting 10, how many ever you want to do. And then ask it to give me 4 fun New Year's Eve theme names or 10 New Year's Eve name, etc. You get the point. And because everyone loves a theme, if you're clear and concise and you let them know this is how much you're spending, this is how much I'm charging, and these are the ones to pick from, at that point, as long as if they're comfortable with the price, I guarantee you, they're going to be more excited and have more fun with the name of what they're picking above what they're paying above all else, because people love a theme and they don't want to miss out. There's FOMO that's basically created there. But like I said, no pressure if you don't have inventory on hand. Now, granted, let's talk about the other side of things, the other side of that. So the flip side of that is that, let's just say you do have items on hand. What items you have on hand, you at that point determine what you want to do, what you want to put in from what you have on hand, and how much you're charging for your mystery bags, mystery boxes, whatever you're wanting to call it. It is so important for one to keep in mind that we are never, ever, ever at any point allowed to charge more than the full retail price of your product. Okay? You absolutely have to make sure of that. So let's just say, for example, hypothetically, you wax bars. Wax bars are full price as of now. Full price, their retail value is $6 per bar, right? So you never, ever, ever, unless it's a licensed bar, that's the exception. You never, ever allowed to charge any more than that $6 unless it's licensed, and then I believe that's $7 if I'm not mistaken. Now, however, this is a personal special. This is something that is between you and your customer. If you choose to do so, you can offer the products that you have on hand at a discount. But again, I'm going to say it over and over and over. It is between you and your customer. What does that mean? As of right now, since he does allow us to share what we have on hand inventory-wise, photos of that to our social media pages. Now, also keep in mind, make sure it's tasteful. Make sure it's tasteful. Make sure you don't want it to look like a garage sale, right? And what I mean by that is you don't want just random items sprayed across the table, and you're just like, I have bulbs right here that my customer purchased, for example. I'm not going to have stuff like this just spread out on a table and take a picture of it and post it online. No, you don't want to do that. What you can do is, for example, let's see if I can actually grab it, because I actually do have a bundle right in front of me here. So I have a customer that purchased a candle bundle that I offered during the holiday season, and I'm supposed to deliver it to her this week. Oh, let's see if I can grab it. So this is what I had on hand, right? Okay. Got the little blanket, got this. I could, if I wanted to, and I did, post a picture of me holding this and put it on social media. Now, make sure and either ask me or you can look up the Scentsy standards, but you want to make sure that you are wording it correctly, because there are do's and don'ts when it comes to that. However, like I said, if you're posting and sharing what you have on hand, make it look tasteful, make it look presentable. Like I said, no one wants to shop a rummage sale. Just make sure that you're asking yourself, if I was scrolling on social media and I came across this photo, is this something that otherwise would be appealing? Would this stop me in my tracks? Does this look like it's a good reflection on not only me, but then Scentsy as a whole, as a company as well? Very important question to ask yourself. But like I said, if you choose to have a personal sale or personal special on your own inventory, whatever you have on hand, that is between you and your customer. Absolutely cannot post that at all online, that you are selling your products at a discount. Now, what you can do is right above the photos, when you post it to your social media accounts, you can say at the top something along the lines of, I'm offering a holiday special, ask me for more details. Or comment in my DMs, comment below and ask me for more details. You can say that. You're wanting, basically at that point, if your customer's interested and they come across the post, is letting them know, hey, I've got something special to offer. You have to reach out and let me know, however you want to say that. But we just cannot absolutely, we cannot post and say how much we're offering something unless it's something that's specifically on the Scentsy site that they're offering for a bundle deal discount. But if it's your personal special, can't post and share that. Okay, moving on. One of the things that I recently did over this past week that I did have actually a lot of success with, I haven't done this in a couple years. I got inspired. I actually listened to another Scentsy leader and the training that she did that was very similar to what I'm talking to you guys about here. I snagged a couple of her ideas, and this actually being one of them. I had a lot of fun with this. If this is something that you want to attempt to try and see how it goes, do it for the first time. Let me know. I'm more than happy to share my calendar with you. But this concept is called Fill the Calendar. This was a lot of fun. I believe overall I got about, I want to say seven or eight customers that claim dates. So it's very simple. The way that it works is Fill the Calendar. What that means is that you share a calendar out. So mine was, I got it from Canva. It was a blank calendar and it had all of the dates available for the first month of January. Okay. The idea of it is that whenever you post it online or if you share it with your customers, that whomever is interested, they pick a date. Once they pick a date, they do the math. So let's just say, for example, I was choosing a date and I chose January 12th. Okay. So 12th, 1 plus 2 is 3. That meant that my customer would pay $3. So what does that mean? That means a number of things. That means that my customer, so like, for example, I had, one customer that actually did choose, what did she choose? Oh, she chose the 30th because that's her birthday. And again, our customers, you guys, people love this kind of stuff. They love themes. They love being able, if they can attach like a memory or if they can personalize or you can personalize to them somehow, then that actually creates more of a, like a memory. It creates a little bit more of like a dopamine kind of feel. They're excited. There's a connection that's built there, right? So when I share this calendar out with my customers, this specific one called me. She's like, hey, if January 30th is not picked on your Fill the Calendar, I would absolutely love it. That's actually the day my birthday. And I was like, it's yours, done. Marked it off. So she chose the 30th. Now, obviously she called me, not obviously, but she called me because she was like, okay, is this too good to be true? Because you said count the numbers. So she did. So 3 plus 0, zeros don't count. So that actually just meant that she was paying $3. Now, what I will say is that out of the like 7, 8 people that claimed a date, I did not have one person that stayed within like that $3. They actually chose more than one date, which was awesome. I even had some people tell me like, hey, this is how much I want to spend. Like one person was like, they made me do the math basically because she said, I want to spend $15. However you want to work that out, whatever date you want to pick, that's how much I want to spend. Okay. But that is the concept of it. It's simple. Now the goal is that you want to try to fill, it's in the title, right? Fill the calendar. So the goal is that in actuality, you want to make sure and get every single day of that calendar marked off, right? Now granted, I would have made an exception and would have kept the calendar quote unquote like open, and I guess in a way I still can, but my customers, I had 8 people that ended up placing an order within this group order, right, with the Fill the Calendar concept. And I had 2 of the 8 that specifically needed their items towards the beginning of January for specific reasons. So that was the only reason why I really truly like closed that out, was because of that reason. Otherwise, I would have collected their payment and just said, hey, by the way, I will be placing this group order whenever I fill the calendar, and just let them know, right? So then at that point they can decide, am I paying her now? Am I paying her later? Now for me personally, I needed payment up front because the way I see it is that out of sight, out of mind. typically whenever somebody is spending money like that, they've already made up their mind. Let's just say I had a customer and she said, hey, I want to spend $15, however you want to do that. In her mind, she's like, okay, I've already spent $15. So their brain has already actually made peace with the fact that they are $15 less shy of what they started with that morning, if that makes sense. So I would much rather invoice them, get the payment right then and there, even if I wasn't placing the order till later on. So then that way it's just one less thing you have to hassle about and try to get from them, and then vice versa. It just makes it easier on everybody. But like I said, idealistically, you could start like this the first week of January. Make it a goal to fill the calendar before the end of the month, and then see where it goes from there. Now, what's really fun is deciding what items that you're going to get. Now, when my customers chose a date or dates on the calendar, I then waited till they chose their dates. Then that's when I responded back. And I said, yay, I'm so excited. Would you like me to surprise you, or would you rather pick your own items? And then I let them say what they wanted to. And then at that point, if you didn't necessarily know maybe perhaps like what your customer likes, for the most part, I had an idea of the majority of my customers, maybe products they haven't tried before, but what kind of scents that they prefer. That's great. If you don't know, that's fine, because then the next step for you would ask them, okay, well, let me know, do you prefer, and I usually say, especially this time of year, I'll normally ask, do you prefer fresh, fruity, or spice? Don't overwhelm them. Pick 2-3 scent categories, and then that way that'll help you determine like what you're picking out. But it's a lot of fun. And also one thing that I recommend too is that if you decide to do that and go that route, make sure that you're creating a shopping link that is themed. I only did this so I wouldn't forget, but I titled it Fill the Calendar. And what I love is that I actually, let me think. So I actually ended up already having an open, a shopping link that was already open, basically, that already had rewards sitting on it, and I needed to close it out anyways. So I actually ended up going in and opening that shopping link order, or whatever you want to call it, that was already open on Workstation, and I ended up attaching, so I could close it out all together. I ended up adding basically new customers to that party, so it was all put together. And that was great because I was able to not only place that order for all of them that wanted to do and participate, fill the calendar, but I also was able to utilize my rewards. So what was really great about that is that I know that I don't need anything, I don't want anything, and so with my host rewards, I wanted to spoil and treat those that participated in the fill the calendar. So it was great because I was able to turn around and use my half off credits and my host rewards that was earned to get 3 packs of scent circles. Now, again, to each their own, but for me, I really wanted to play into like the New Year's theme. So I personally ended up choosing the same fragrance for everybody. Now, because this is a freebie for them, I could give 2 hoots about how they feel about the fragrance because they're not paying for that part. And this is something that I want to gift to them. So it makes it a lot easier, you know what I mean, for us to be able to then choose like what we're going to gift them. Again, I wanted to play into like the whole New Year's theme. So I ended up choosing Silver Bells. Silver Bells to me, I cannot do the wax. The wax just like so strong. It smells incredible, but it's way too strong. But I love it everywhere else. I love it so much. In fact, I'm very surprised, unless I'm wrong. I think I'll check my website out here in a little bit and see if I'm wrong. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it came out in a candle. Even though I was secretly hoping it did. I don't think it did. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it did not. But it's an incredible scent all the same. And I think it'll be really fun and pretty because of the color and the name tying in with like my whole New Year's Eve, like New Year's theme with the fill of the calendar. Okay, moving on. That was a mouthful. Sorry, y'all. Let's see. Oh, so one of the things that you can do, again, is you can put together your own twist on a bundle, on your website using, like a sparkle theme or positive vibes. Sparkle theme being, you could offer a 6-pack of wax. So wax, place through your workstation, keyword workstation, is you can still offer the buy 5 get 1 free for 30 before shipping and tax. So you could do like your I don't know, like wordplay again, right? So it's like a New Year's pack of wax. Stick with that theme. New Year's pack of wax. And then when you're tying in or positive vibes, there are a lot of fun wax bars on our website that you can incorporate into that theme. Again, if you feel stuck, highly, highly, highly recommend going again to ChatGPT. I can't say it enough, but go to chat. You can even say, I'm wanting to create a 6-pack of wax theme for New Year's out of the 2025 catalog for Scentsy. What fragrances should I include? Some of them that come to mind, like for example, going back to, think for me, when I think of like New Year's or I think of like a 6-pack of wax, I think about like clean scents, fresh fragrances. You could even honestly stick to the OG scents. So you could do a 6-packs of Blue Grotto, Sunkissed Citrus, Luna, Jammy Time. What else am I getting? Blueberry cheesecake. So you could just go back to like the OG fragrances. What's the other one? Vanilla bean buttercream. Where it all started, right? Don't overthink it. Have some fun with it. You can play on the front of the wax bar colors, right? So if you're wanting, if you are wanting to do like again positive vibes, choose fun colors, bright colors. Think yellow. Think blue. Things like that. Or if you're wanting to do a sparkle theme, literally choose whatever wax that you want to, or whatever bundle you're wanting to do on the website. And then sparkle theme can honestly, you don't even have to worry about the products in itself. Or, now that my wheels are turning, can you tell? Because I think that's actually going to be coming up soon that I'm going to be talking about, is the clean bundle. So you could focus on the clean bundle or clean products in general on our website and play into that as the quote-unquote sparkle theme. You could... if you have ribbon, like for example, if you happen to be like me and be a hoarder of all things ribbon, that could play easily into your sparkle theme. I even have these that I got on sale. Anything that's glitter, anything that's confetti, you could put your 3-pack or 6-pack of wax or whatever products that you have in a bag, toss some confetti in there. That can be your sparkle theme in itself. If it's in your budget, the dollar store I'm sure has incredible New Year's Eve themed things. Put like one of those little kazoos in there. If you have access to a printer at your house, find something online. Canva has so many free images. By the way, guys, I don't pay for Canva anymore. So Canva has free images that you can download, or go to Google even, that says New Year's 2026, Happy New Year. Print that out, forward to a page, cut it out, drop in a box, call it a day. That ties into your theme, right? Don't overthink it. Just have fun with it. And if you are wanting to brainstorm, by the way, and want to pick something, one of these things. And also, I forgot to say that too. When it comes to this list, don't overwhelm yourself. Pick 1 to 2 things, focus on that. And then like for me, for example, going into January, a lot of these things, because we are kind of winding down to like the end of the month for December, some of these things I have not talked about or showcased or share with my customers. So normally what I do is I will work on it. I'll post it, share it, talk about it. I usually will give about 2 or 3 days before I move on to the next thing. And then I do just that. Whether or not I don't dwell as much on, if I don't get any conversation around it, or if I'm not getting any orders from it. The whole point being is that you are showcasing ideas and having fun with themes and having conversations built around our products with your customers. And here's the thing. Some of them are going to latch on and love it. Others, they may not even respond back. If you post on social media, or even if you text your customers, you may not hear back from anyone or as many people as you thought you would. The whole point of it is working your business, kind of getting that momentum back up, right? So getting that fire started underneath us, because we're dusting off from ourselves from the holiday season. We're stretching, we're getting prepared and ready to go into 2026. So therefore, kind of like getting our wheels turning, right? And thinking about what are the things that we're wanting to get excited about and focus on. I recommend, like I said, don't focus on all these things. Pick 1 to 2 things and run with it through the first 2 to 3 weeks, at least 2 weeks of January, and then move on to the next thing. Let's see. But yeah, but playing on themes again, like I said, wordplay with scent names. That is so much fun. If you want to brainstorm with any of these things, feel free to reach out to me. I love doing stuff like this. And I love coming up with ideas and helping you guys out. Also, one thing I highly recommend is, again, going back to the fact that if you don't have anything on hand, if you don't have anything that's like New Year's themed, whatever the case may be, create a fake a bag or a box out and share a photo. Like for example, you can, let's just say hypothetically, you have a older whip box on hand. Okay. You don't have to open it. You could easily, again, ribbon, put something around it, put a little cute bow around it, pose with it just as is. Make sure that you're in the photo posing with a whip box beside you, and talk about whatever it is, the theme that you're sharing, right? But fake it out. A lot of times I don't have what I talk about on hand, so I will fake it out. So like, for example, I remember a couple years back, I wanted to start up with doing mystery bags, right? And I hadn't done it before, and even when I did, I wasn't consistent with it. So I remember I ended up taking, I think it was like 10 or 12 gift bags that I happened to already have on hand, right? I even went to great lengths of putting the tissue paper in the bags. Now keep in mind, you guys, these bags were actually empty, and I was faking it until I make it. And so I ended up putting it together. I staged it on like our like brick area that we have by our fireplace. I put all the bags by that area, and I snapped a photo and posted it. And I think I put numbers on it, like 1 through 10, claim your number, claim your theme name, whatever it was. And I faked it till I made it, because I didn't have barely anything on hand. I focused mostly again on what we had on sale. All I needed to do is, what I knew was that I had a cap amount that I wanted my customers to spend. If they decided to pay that amount, then that's where I picked out the items. They didn't have to know any details as far as what was in those bags. It was really truly what it came down to was sharing something that was not only going to set me apart from all other Scentsy consultants, but it's all about the visual aid, right? If we're giving them something to look at, that's going to definitely, get more interested. Another option is focusing on, again, the clean bucket. So there are, again, go to Facebook, type in Scentsy clean bucket. I guarantee you there are so many images that you guys can share, especially if you don't have anything at the time on hand. I don't recommend going to the stores and buying the things until you have customers that are actually placing orders for clean bundles. You don't have to do that. There are so many photos, again, on Facebook, you guys, that consultants are more than happy for you to share out and utilize, which is incredible. And so you can utilize that, again, because you don't have to have it on hand just yet. You want to gather the orders, you want to gather interest. That's where you want to start. So you could advertise and say something like, I just love after the holidays, getting my house to smell fresh and clean. New Year's clean bucket, order now, get it get it at the beginning of January. At this point, I would not recommend saying get it January 1st, because that is actually in a couple of days. So I don't highly recommend that, but you can say something along those lines, get your, claim your clean bucket now, limited quantity, or, because you want to create that sense of urgency, right? But like I said, you don't have to go to the store and buy all the things until you have people who are actually claiming your clean buckets. Then, of course, that's different. Something that I actually plan on, I personally am going to be focusing on over the next couple of days, because I have a lot of these pods that I got a couple months back whenever we were having like a big blowout sale. But I have these Arctic Kiss pods. So I'm planning on utilizing those, pairing those up with the mini air solos. We call them air solos now, not mini fans. So air solos. I'm going to pair that up with the air solo. Again, I don't have a ton on hand. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 pod packs that are to the right of me right now. I definitely do not have 6 air solos on hand. I think I have 2. So my plan is to create, they're called car kits. So basically you can do a couple of things. It can be a air solo, it can be a pod pack and a room spray, or it can be a scent pack. I personally plan on probably doing a scent pack. So it's going to be a scent pack pod pack, that's a mouthful, and an air solo. So I like to create, sometimes I use what I have on hand. So I plan on putting a little clear bag together. I'm going to put those items in it, and then I'm going to pose with that in my hand, take a picture, share it to my customers. Again, the whole point of it is getting the post out there, talking to your customers about getting the photo, getting it out there, bless and release it, and then move on to the next thing. But that's a car kit. So you can mention it to those who in the past have used car bars, for example. So there's a lot of our customers. I know I've actually, every time that I've, not every time, but the last couple events that I've done in the last few months, through this year, I have about, maybe a couple people here and there that'll ask me about the car bars. So you can easily go to your workstation and, you can go to, your reports, and it might actually be on the Scentsy app as well, Scentsy Connect. But I know on workstation, you can go to your reports. You can pull reports. And ask me how, by the way, if you don't know how to do this, ask me how. But you can pull reports on what customers have ordered in the past, car bars. And that way, when you're going down that list, those are your people that typically will be interested. And notice your car kits that you're creating. So that's something I plan on focusing on personally. Now let's segue into like the non-sales things that you can for sure do between now and the end of the year. So one being, if you haven't done so already, text or post online. You can do either or both. But at end of the year gratitude post. That's going to be a post of you and your family. Maybe you set up at one of your vendor events and you're going to do a heartfelt post, say whatever, comes to mind from your heart, but it's in other words, thanking your customers for their support, for every, like, share, referral, you can say like, happy holidays, happy new year to you and your family. But what is so incredible about that in itself is that it's not salesy, it's not pushy for one, it's connecting with your customers, it's getting your face out in the forefront of the algorithm. If you're texting your customer one-on-one, it's continuously not only reminding them like, oh hey, as a friendly reminder, I'm your Scentsy consultant. Not that most of them probably forgotten, but it's also letting them know, hello, that you're grateful for their support, right? People love to feel loved, seen, appreciated, and that can do just that. It doesn't scream sales, it drives engagement, it possibly leads to direct messages from your customer. In years past, I will do, my text to my customers in the next couple of days. And sometimes you never know. Sometimes you might get somebody that will reply back and be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate it. You're so sweet. I completely forgot. I need to order a 6-pack of wax, or, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's just that little reminder that we need. And your customer will appreciate you for it because it's not salesy. It's not pushy. But you never know. It could be a reminder to them that, oh yeah, I did forget to text Megan and let her know that I needed to, get more laundry products or get more conch cleanups, wherever the case may be. Another idea that you can do, and I actually, sometimes here and there, I'll do these things through text, but it's mostly on social media. So a lot of times, like, I'll go to Facebook and I'll say, drop your favorite Scentsy scent from 2025. So that's an engaging post. You're not driving sales. You're creating engagement. You are focused on fragrance and Scentsy because you're redirecting your customers' attention to just that, but you're not pushing a sale. You're not posting anything. You're just simply creating conversation and engagement. And people love to tell us these kind of things, right? They love giving us their input and their opinions. You can even ask, what scent do you want to bring into the new year? So for example, something like that, where you can say like, what scent do you hope comes back for the spring, summer season? Again, engagement creates conversation, which will at some point down the line create a sale, whether it's now or in the future. It's important just to have that this gap mindset, this PRV gap mindset, that there is a little bit of a lull period right between mid-December to like mid-January. However, you still want to make sure that you are staying you are keeping the attention on yourself that you are a Scentsy consultant, that you're touching base with your customers. You're not driving them crazy, but you're simply just checking in, just saying hi. Another way that you can do something along the lines of this, and I actually did that, I think this morning, is you can change your your cover photo. I've been applying for jobs. Can you hear that? Can you tell my cover letter with my resume? But you can go to Facebook and you can update your cover photo to be something that Scentsy has created. Like, for example, at the end of every month, I will normally switch it up to be the Scentsy under their marketing tab on your workstation. They'll always have banners of the warmer and scent of the month for the current month and then the next month. And that's something that you can easily change up and switch up. What's really great about that is whenever you are, I would recommend every couple months, maybe once a quarter, updating your profile picture. But at least every month, if not every other month, switching out your cover photo that's above your profile photo, because that is actually what is going to be showing up in your customer's algorithm on their main page on Facebook. And that, again, something like that, like mine, for example, right, is the warmer the month for this month. There's nothing that's posted on that specific photo for my cover photo for Facebook. There's nothing on that talks about how much it is, or that it's, on sale, or that it's available for purchase. It's just a beautiful photo. Common sense tells anybody that it's a Scentsy warmer. They, then it's like connecting the dots, right? And again, I don't have to reach out to those people, even if now, granted, if you really just wanted to be extra and you had somebody, let's just say, that hearted the photo. Like, I actually did have, I think, 2 or 3 people that are Scentsy customers that hearted that specific cover photo of mine. If I wanted to, I could actually, I wouldn't DM them one-on-one necessarily, but you could text them, and you could, for example, something you could do is share that photo. Something similar to that photo that, like, for me, would be the warmer of the month. I could share that out to them. And that, honestly, that in itself could really truly be my gratitude, New Year's photo if I wanted to, hypothetically. Or I could text them and just be like, hey everyone, hope you had an incredible holiday season. I don't know, whatever you want to say. But there's a workaround around that. Otherwise, just letting it be. And again, subtle reminders. You're a Scentsy consultant. But I will say this, it is also important at the same time, you don't want to assume that just because your customers know, or don't assume that your customers will automatically come to you if they need anything. That is going to be far and few in between. I guarantee you that. That's something that let's see, how long has it been since I joined Scentsy? Almost 7 years? Yeah, almost 7 years. This year will mark 7 years. Or I'm sorry, wait, no, getting ahead of myself. Well, yeah. This year did mark 7 years. And with as long as I've been a Scentsy consultant, I still, to this day, you guys, have to tell myself over and over and over the mantra of, I'm not bothering my customer. This is a part of being a Scentsy consultant. And the thing is, like, think about, like, how busy you are in your own personal life. Coming from somebody that's a neurodivergent, like, spicy brain, I think about, like, all the things that I do think about on a hourly basis, or honestly, let's be honest, like, less than that. Like, how much I juggle and talk about and think about throughout the whole day. Your customer is just the same. So even though it feels like we're being pushy and we're being salesy and we're bothering them too much, trust me, you are one comment, you are one text, you are one email through a sea of texts and emails. Now, obviously, text is a little bit more invasive than emails are. So I would say my personal opinion on that is, if you have customers that you don't really reach out to that often, emails are better. They're less invasive. You're still getting the point across. However, if you're wanting something from them right then and there, like, for example, with going back to my fill the calendar idea, that was something that was more immediate. I wanted to do an extra push for my sales for the end of this month. And because of that, that was something that I wanted to make sure and get the results sooner than later. So that's why I first and foremost texted that out to my customers. But if it can wait, if it's not that big of a hurry, then that's when email will come in. Small orders count. Again, going back to even like the fill the calendar concept. Yes, a lot of my customers were, paying $9 here, $7 there, $11, $15 there, but it adds up, you guys. It adds up. Even if you're messaging your customers, and let's just say you're like, I don't know, Megan, maybe a 6-pack of wax for $30 sounds like a lot. That's fine. Message your customer and just be like, hey, I know that, we're, the January is approaching. I don't know about you, but this cool weather, I still like, a hint of holiday without it being too Christmassy. I highly recommend, and then fill in the blank, whatever bar you want to talk about. Even if your customers are purchasing, anywhere between like 1 to 3 bars, hell, you could, like, going back to the whole mystery concept, you can say like you're having a mystery bag for, I can't do the math, but whatever $6 is plus tax, and then add on that $2.50 for shipping. You can charge that to where your customer is getting like a mystery wax bar. You don't even have to tell them it's going to be wax bar, just like a mystery bag. But just something to kind of get them over that hump, like going into like February, March, because normally most of our customers come February are ready by that time, mid-February-ish, for the spring scents. But January, because in most parts of the U.S. and outside the U.S. is cold weather, they're still wanting those cool, crisp, fresh, clean fragrances. Not quite Christmassy. So a lot of people, unless they really love Christmas scents, they're like, okay, I'm past like the tree smells, I'm past the cinnamon smells, but they still want something that's like a hint of holiday. So that's where, again, like your fresh and floral fragrances would definitely come into play. Let's see. Where was I? Talked about that. But yeah, again, a few orders here and there, $15, $30, add-ons matter. If you have a customer, for example, that is placing an order for wax, ask them if we're like, hey, have you tried our cotton cleanups? Or if you already know that they've had their cotton cleanups before, be like, hey, do you need a refill on your cotton cleanups? Or create a conversation around that. You always want to try to, and I honestly, I'll say full transparency, I'm guilty of this myself, of when I have customers, hell, in fact, I did it this week. So I had a customer that wanted to place an order for a 6-pack of wax for Luna, right? I could have very easily and should have suggested, hey, cotton cleanups, X amount of dollars. They're incredible. Soak up your wax. So easy to use. Can I add that on for you? And then let them know otherwise how much the total would be. Give them that option. Now, like I said, I'm not perfect. I can honestly need something like right smack in front of my face here in my office. That's going to remind me to upsell every time. Y'all, I have Scentsy friends of mine that are incredible when it comes to upselling. I forget. Okay, so it's okay if we forget. But try to keep that in the forefront of your mind. Let's see, what else? You don't need a huge push on sales. You just need a few intentional moves. Again, everything that I've talked about through this training, you guys, pick 1 to 2 things. Don't feel like you have to do everything. Pick 1 to 2 things that's obtainable between now and 2 weeks from now, and get started on it. What else? I think that's pretty much about it. Again, bottom line, remembering that engagement equals conversation. Conversations will either lead to sales either now or in the future. Let me know otherwise if y'all have any questions about anything. Other than that, I hope y'all have an incredible New Year's Eve. Stay safe, stay warm. I can't wait to talk to you guys and chat going into January. In fact, for Team Faith and Soul, be on the lookout because I want to start going back to doing our Zoom chats again. So be on the lookout for that for more information come January. But in the meantime, like I said, if you have any questions on this specific video in itself, drop them below, or if you're on Team Faith and Soul, feel free to reach out to me one-on-one. But I hope y'all have an incredible week. And like I said, stay safe during New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. But otherwise, I'll see y'all in a couple weeks.